What's up, folks? Aaron here, and welcome to the last vlog of the decade in 2019. Hey, I had to make the dad joke, obviously. So, last week I kind of covered my 2019 highlights, so I thought it'd be fun this week to do kind of a real quick review of kind of my highs and lows of the entire decade, because it was kind of tumultuous. So, some of these are going to be numbers, but here's a few things that happened to me in the last 10 years, right? My wife and I had 2 more kids, bringing our total to 4, and then we thought we were done, and then 5, and we were really done. But our lives wouldn't be the same without T-Man and the Queen, and I'm so glad God blessed us with those 2. Our family was definitely not complete without them. Employment-wise, oh boy, I thought trying to start off a career in the aughts was tough, but here's some stats. I went through 6 different jobs and had a paycheck from 8 different employers, because 2 of those jobs shifted people who paid me partway through. Now, in 10 years, that's changing jobs more than once every other year. I don't recommend that. Mind you, most of those cases were not entirely voluntary on my behalf, but anyway, yeah, I don't recommend that level of job instability. On the plus side, going along with the job instability, was a lot of career progression. I started off in 2010 as a production coordinator for Warner Brothers Games / Monolith. Went to NCSoft, became an editor. Went to Microsoft, turned 10 as a lead software test engineer for the audio team. Went from turn 10 to a software test engineer 3 for Microsoft on the HoloLens team. Then made the big move over to Meta as a software engineer in test engineer. That's what they called me. Test engineer. And then now at my current gig, finally, after a very long time, finally made it to software engineer, which is where I've been trying to go for pretty much since I started my career. So, yay! Way to end on a high note, at least. In conjunction with the jobs and everything, though, we moved a lot. We moved 5 times in 10 years. And you can do the math on that one. And I think we've finally had a little bit more stability in the last few years since moving here to South Dakota. But yeah, we moved from a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo that was like 850 square feet, and in which we had our family of 6 all crammed in there. We moved from that to a duplex that was a 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath duplex. Then we were technically homeless, actually, for a few months when our lease didn't get renewed, and we ended up living with my parents. Found a house, moved in, lived there for about a year and a half, and then made the big move out here to South Dakota. Rented for a couple years, finally bought this place, and so Lord willing, the 20s are going to have a lot less moving, I hope. Like I said, the future's always in motion, as Yoda said. But the plan is definitely to not be moving around nearly as much in the 20s. But again, another big highlight was we moved to South Dakota. We left Washington, said goodbye to the rain and the gloom and the traffic and the politics and the traffic, and moved to South Dakota, and I like it much better here. This is probably home. As much as I dislike winter, I like everything else about this place. I became a published author. That was not something I ever thought I would do, and yet here I am with a couple of published short stories, and there's some more things. At least one piece I know is already going to be published in 2020. Talk more about that later. Not now, later, but I'll talk more about that when it comes closer to happening. And I'm working on getting some more stuff published. So, I'm a published author. Yay! I started writing for Marooners Rock. That was another thing I never thought would happen. I got this vlog and YouTube channel and the blog that goes with it off the ground. It's actually technically my third attempt at blogging, but I've definitely stuck with this the longest so far, so that's good. Another one, yes. So here's a fun progression. I've talked about this before, but again, it's the end of the decade highlights. I gotta do this. So, 2015, started running a little bit. 2016, picked up the running again, now in South Dakota, ran my first 5K. 2017, started running a little more seriously, ran my first 10K. 2018, okay, fine, I guess I'm a runner now. I'll run a half marathon. 2019, this year, yep, I'm a runner. Ran a half marathon, ran 2 marathons. Coming up next year, going to run at least 1 more marathon, and the goal is to break 5 hours. We'll see. Stay tuned. And, finally started gaming on Twitch. I think that was about 2015 or so is when that started. A couple other neat milestones that I've talked about that happened this year, like joining Civil Air Patrol. I think it was definitely a milestone for this year. I think looking back on it, it's going to be a very significant life milestone. But yeah, there's some other interesting statistics, like I flew out for 4 different job interviews when I was doing all the interviews pre-moving to South Dakota. But that's kind of how it is. That's season highlights. I don't have numbers on how many books I read or games I played or any of that. Steam backlog certainly grew by an insane amount in 10 years, I'll tell you that much. But that's about it. A couple of housekeeping things. I did pretty well on running last week. I missed a day for Christmas, and I missed a day on Saturday, which is normally my long run day because that's the day my family had our big Christmas party. I feel like those are acceptable reasons. Be back in at hardcore this week. Running. Oh, I finished KonMari Step 2 today as I'm filming this. So, Step 1 was close. I managed to drag that out for over 3 months. Step 2, books, which kind of hurt my heart to purge my collection at all. I probably kept too many, but they all sparked joy. So, but what I did select for reduction has now all either been posted to eBay and Amazon, sold to a local secondhand shop, or just straight up donated. So it's gone, it's out of the house. I start the new year on Step 3 dealing with paper. of which I have a ton. So, starting that clean at least. So that's exciting. I think that's about it. If you've got some New Year's goals, decade highlights, whatever, let me know. Throw them in the comments. I'll talk to you next decade. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a happy new year. Cheers. Bye.